getting out, finding new things, changing your mood, improving your health, and driving around. Let's talk about it on today's video. Welcome to your Profit video series. I'm your host, certified life and financial coach, Joe Shortridge. On today's video, we talk a lot on this show about changing your mood, changing your health, feeling better, looking better, and changing those neural pathways in your mind so that you think and feel more positive. So one of the things that I love to do, and I do it a lot, is something called photo hunting. Okay, it's where I get in the car and I just drive and I find locations. Sometimes I have a plan, sometimes I don't. But it is a great way for you to get out of that funk that you're in, to change your mood and become happier. And exploring new things helps you change your neural pathways in your mind. You're building new neural pathways. You're finding new things to do. You're making more days of happy thoughts and happy things to do with your family and friends or alone. I go to a lot of these places alone. And mainly the reason why I go alone a lot is so that I can do things at my own pace. I recently drove down to Dayton, Ohio, and went to the National Air and Space Museum at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. That was awesome. Now, going by myself, I could go at my own pace. I stopped at places on the way. And that's another thing too. Don't get so mindset on, I have to go here. And just go there and go back. Explore. Look for the brown signs. I love the brown signs. It's things to do in your state. On the way down to Dayton, I stopped at the Miamisburg Mound and spent some time around the Indian Burial Mound, taking pictures, walking up the mound, stuff like that, because I'm into the history. And that's a great thing about going out and exploring new places is you learn the history. As you know, I drive a lot to like cemeteries and covered bridges. Basically, I love the history. And the thing is, when you go to these places, spend some time there, walk around, especially like covered bridges. Covered bridges are known for gathering places, so spend some time there. The last covered bridge I went to, there was a group of motorcyclists that pulled up, and there's a gazebo right outside the bridge where they stopped and they had like a little meeting. There were other bikers that met them there, and everybody brought something and they made it like a little luncheon picnic, which was awesome. So get in your car and just drive. Find locations to go to. And if you don't know of places, I'll talk about some in a few minutes of different places to go to find the places to go. Okay. And you may think, well, Joe, I have mobility issues. I can't just get up off the couch and go walk at these places. Well, yeah, you can. Okay, unless you're bedridden in a hospital bed, you're not going to be able to go. But the great thing about Google and Google Maps is you can go to these places while you're in bed. But I don't want you to use Google as an excuse not to actually go to these places. Okay, let's say you don't have a car. Okay, you may not have a car to drive. And you're fighting with your family or fighting with some friends. What a great way to bond with your family members than taking an evening drive or a Sunday drive to these locations. Get a hold of your family members and say, I know we're not talking, or I know we're not getting along, but I'd really love to spend some time with you. And I've got an idea. I know I don't have a car. You have a car. Why don't I give you some gas money and let's go spend the day driving somewhere? It may sound crazy, but I've talked to people that have done that. They were shocked that the person that they, didn't think that they would go with them actually drove them and they had a great time. So you never know. Okay. But if you have the ability to go by yourself, go by yourself. That way you can go at your own pace. And if you want to drive along, and like the situation where I was just driving along, heading down to Dayton, Ohio, I stopped at a few places, a few small towns, and found that there was a car show going on. So I stopped, went through the car show. It ended up that I actually got down there a little late and didn't have much time to go to the museum. So what I did was I got a hotel because it was a Saturday. I just spent the night, and the next day I went to the museum. Now, obviously, you can't do that if you're on a budget or stuff like that, but I had a little extra cash, and I was like, you know what? If I'm going to drive this far, I'm going to explore more than I was thinking. So I went to the Miamisburg Mound. I went to the museum. And what was really cool was there was actually a little air show going on. And when I say little, I mean a little air show. Like they had these remote control planes that they were flying around. And as you were at the museum, you could walk out to the runway and watch them. It was free. And I would have never saw that. And I wouldn't have had that fun if I just would have said, okay, I've got to go to the museum. I'm driving right there and I'm driving right back. Take some time to explore. You may not have the financial means to do that, but I sold some garden boxes and I had some extra cash in my pocket. And I'm like, you know what? Why not? Okay. So I look for things like covered bridges, waterfalls, cemeteries, of course, and other things like that. Now, there are places all over that are there for you to go explore. There's caverns. Okay, in Ohio here, we have the Ohio Caverns. That's really cool. You can go and walk through these caverns. We have old historic homes, like down in Fremont, Ohio. I think it's Rutherford Hayes, the president. His home is there. I'm pretty sure it's Hayes, but I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. But I went down there and I was going down to Fremont to go to the Goodwill because I'm like, you know what? I'm bored. I'm going to go look at some Goodwill, see what I can find. And I drove along and I saw the brown sign and I drove up and there was a museum. It's this historic home that they turned into a museum, and you can walk around inside there and see what it was like when he lived there. It's really cool. So don't be so set on going and finding, just I'm going to this location. So if you take your time, drive off those offshoots. But let's talk about different places that you can go. Okay. Every little town has their farmers markets. Depending on what season you're in, you can go out and look at the Christmas lights. You can go see the Halloween decorations. You can see the springtime decorations. A lot of these small towns that you don't even have any idea of fix their towns up every season. And you can go to these places, and a lot of the small towns have little like antique shops you can go to, stuff like that. Parks. There are parks everywhere, and you can just go walk in the park. It's getting exercise. If you can't walk that far, walk a little bit, take a break, and walk some more. Go sit by a lake. Go sit by a lake. Think about what hobbies are you into. Okay, you will be surprised at the different things you can do depending on what hobby you're into. A lot of these small towns, I know, like Coshocton, Ohio, they have like reenactments. You go into these little shops and you can see the quilt makers or blacksmiths, stuff like that. So whatever hobby you're into, there are opportunities for you to find things in your city or your state that will cater to you. One big thing is conferences and conventions. Now, as you know, me and my sister do the 222 Paranormal podcast. So we're traveling a lot for that podcast. And we go to a lot of haunted locations. Okay. That's another thing that you can do. If you're into that, you can find these locations you can go to. But there are conferences and conventions for just about everything. I was really surprised when I started looking into this. One of the conferences that we went to in Pennsylvania, next door, they were having a gem and rock collectors conference. Who knew? There are conferences for reptiles, like reptile snakes, stuff like that. There's dog shows, there's cat shows, there's all kinds of stuff like that. You just have to look. The problem is we get stuck in our way of thinking and think there's nothing to do. Well, there's things to do every weekend. There's things to do at weeknights. I don't know if I mentioned earlier in the video, but in Toledo here, we have a farmer's market that's every Saturday. Well, at least twice a year, they have a nighttime farmer's market for crafters and stuff like that, which is really cool because it's completely different. There's bands that are playing, stuff like that. So there's things going on. There's baseball games, there's hockey games, there's football games. Even if you can't afford to go to the hockey games or the pro games, there's high school football, there's high school baseball, there's stuff like that. So depending on what you're into, you can find things to do. It all just gets you off the couch and gets you moving and exploring new things, getting that mood boost. You never know what you're going to find. Cities have pop-up markets that you can go to. So let's talk about places that you can go to find the places to go to. Okay. One of my favorites that I go to a lot because I love the tourist traps. On our way up north, we always see these giant signs. Seashell City, 1 mile away, and then half-mile away. Turn here. Giant 500-pound man-eating clam. And you get there and this clam's about this big. I love that stuff, though. So you can find stuff like that. So one of the places I go is, and a new one I found, is an app called Atlas Obscura. Check that out. It's a great app. RoadsideAmerica.com is one I use a lot. That is a fun one. You can see like corn hedge. You can see that field where all the cars are piled up. You can find the giant ball of twine. You can find, I found in a cemetery, the world's largest hand in a cemetery. And I got there and it was like 5 feet tall. But it was fun to drive to that location and see that. One of the great things, and I love it, and I still have them in the closet right there, is physical atlases that you can buy at like Walmart, hardware stores. If you live by a border of 2 states, go to the Welcome Center on the expressway. Truck stops will have them, but you could probably even go to Amazon and pick them up. But what it is it is this physical atlas. It's an old style physical map book, and each county is a different page, and it lists out every single road on that county. Now, what I do is in the beginning of the book, in the atlas, is places listed out like covered bridges, waterfalls, campsites, stuff like that. I go in and I look up covered bridges, and it'll tell you exactly where they're all at. So what you do is once you find those locations, and what's great about these books is you can almost make it into like a journal where you're actually physically writing on the page, like circling the covered bridge or the waterfall or whatever you're going to. And it's sort of like a journal, a travel journal. So I love the physical books. Now, I used to actually use that and follow road by road. But now, with the power of Google, and thank God we have Google, it makes it so much easier, is I'll look on my physical map, I'll find it, and then I'll go on Google and I'll search where it's at. I'll look at the street view, I'll look at the satellite view. And what's great about that is you can see where the parking lots are. You can see if there's mobility issues. You can see if there's steps, stuff like that. And then what you can do is you go to their website of that location. A lot of these locations have websites. You can ask them, say, you know, I am in a wheelchair. I'm not that mobile. I have to use a walker, or I'm not good at steps, stuff like that. And you can ask them, you know, if they have a lot of steps, if there's ramps, stuff like that. So, you know, you never know. Okay. So I use Google a lot. I look at it and it really helps me out, because there was a situation where I went to a waterfall and I knew where it was at. So I started driving and the neighborhood started getting worse and worse and worse. And I'm talking really bad neighborhood. Okay. And I'm thinking, I am not parking my car in this neighborhood just to look at a waterfall. Well, turns out you park in the police station parking lot, and it turned out to be one of the coolest waterfalls that I've seen in Ohio. It's down in a town called Elyria, Ohio. So if you're in that area, if you're Cleveland area and stuff like that, you probably know about it. But it's really cool. A lot of these places I'll actually go alone because I can go at my own pace. Like the situation where I was at the covered bridge, and I could spend time and take pictures, and that I didn't have someone with me that wanted to just go and then see it and leave. You could spend time there. But if I was with someone, you know, and they want to leave, I couldn't leave. So I go to a lot of these places alone, and I can go at my own pace, and I can stop at different locations. Like on my way down to Dayton, you know, stopping at the Miamisburg Mound to check out the mound before I went to the Air and Space Museum. Stuff like that. And, you know, if you want to sit and read a book or whatever, I know a lot of people that go down to like Marblehead Lighthouse, they'll sit on the rocks and read books. So if you don't have, if you know, you're alone, you can do that. But it is also fun to take someone with you. Take your family members, take the kids, find these locations. So let's talk about how to find the locations. Okay, I know I've been babbling on about different locations, but one of the best things is ask on social media. If you think of what place you want to go, ask. Say, hey, has anybody been here? You know, what am I in for? Facebook groups is a great place to find things to do. There's Facebook groups for everything. Now, you got to be careful in Facebook because there's a lot of egos too. But, you know, just take it with a grain of salt. And you never know, because I always say you want to surround yourself with people that you want to become. You may meet people. I know that every Wednesday night here in Toledo, there's a kayaking group meetup. And there's a Facebook group for that kayaking group. And they welcome everybody. So if you have a kayak and you don't have anybody to go with, there's groups out there that do that. There's jet ski groups. I know every Thursday night, I believe, is jet ski night. Every Wednesday is kayak night. And I think here in Toledo, Saturday is maybe the sailboats. I don't know. But see, they do that so that you're not conflicting with others. Like if you're trying to kayak and somebody rides your jet ski past, or a whole group of people ride jet skis past, you know, but it's really neat because the camaraderie of people understand, hey, Wednesday night's kayaks, you know, stuff like that. So look on Facebook, look at those groups. You'll find things that interest you. One of the things I want to mention, if you're down in the Huntsville, Tennessee area, I highly recommend going to the historic Scott County Jail. A friend of mine, Miranda and Chris, they run it. And they actually have a true crime museum in the jail that you can go through. They have flashlight tours. They have walking tours. I know Ohio State Reformatory has the same thing. Pennsylvania, I believe it's called Moundsville, you know, Penitentiary. But you can find things like that anywhere. There's so many places, like jails. I go to jails just because I love the history and the paranormal. But you can find these places, and like I said, go on their website, check them out, Google them. Just type in a location and you'll find tons of pictures that people have taken that are there, that have been there, and it'll give you an understanding of what you're going to expect. Okay, so anyways, I know I've been babbling on. Let's go over 12 places that you can go to find the locations to go to. Okay, Social media, like I said, that's awesome. That's one of the best ones. Take advantage of Google. Take advantage of Google Maps, the street view and the satellite view. Like I said, don't use that as an excuse to say, yeah, I checked it out. No, go to these places. Get off the couch and go to these places, okay? Ask personal recommendations from your friends and family. Find out places that have had movies filmed at them. A lot of those places have tours. There's also tours you can go on that will take you to all these locations. There's also like historic train rides you can go on. That's a fun thing to do. But when you find the places, go to their website, check them out, ask them about your mobility issues, ask them what to expect, ask them the price, stuff like that. And they'll be happy to help you because they want you to come. I found a website, it's called likealocalguide.com. Other things you can do is if you think of a town or city that you want to go to the Airbnb websites and check out rentals. Now, not saying that you're going to rent that place, but lots of times they have interesting things to do around that location. Like I said, the new one I found, Atlas Obscura, it's a website or it's an app on your phone. That's great. They have a lot of information on there. Explore travel blogs. Utilize YouTube. You know, if you want to find a interesting location, type on YouTube. There's travel vloggers that actually do videos of these locations, and you'll find out more information that you'll be surprised when you go to these locations, the history and the things you want to look for. That's a great opportunity. Use YouTube a lot. I do. I go on YouTube and I use it a lot. Another great thing, and you won't think about, is find great deals on Groupon. Groupon is a great source to get discounted admission tickets, stuff like that. And you can look up and find out reviews also on, like, when you go to Groupon, I believe they have reviews where these people talk about what happened and stuff like that. That's a great way to find these locations. But what I'll do is in the show notes, I'll put a link in the show notes to all these places I'm talking about. I'll put my notes that I have in front of me in the video description so that you can look at all these things. But really, get out, get in the car, go for that Sunday drive, go to these places, find things to do. It'll improve your mood so much. It'll change your thoughts. And that's what we're all about, is getting you off the couch and getting you out and doing stuff, moving, get more mobile, get that exercise in, get those walks in, get those step numbers in. If you're in a wheelchair, these places are wheelchair accessible. You know, some aren't. I know some aren't, but you can find places that are. And like I said, I've talked to so many people that are fighting with their family members or fighting with their or with their kids or whatever. And they called them up and said, hey, I'm going for a drive. I don't know where I'm going. I'm just going for a drive. You want to go? And people have said yes. And they rekindled that friendship or rekindled that familyship. So try it. What do you got to lose? You know, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But at least you try. And at least you're getting yourself off the couch and you're getting some exercise in. And who knows, a year from now, you may be loading up your bike and go to these places and riding on these trails and getting more exercise in. Get that blood pumping, get healthier, have fun, and enjoy yourself. Find these locations. You know, you're driving along, you're going to one place. I've ran into so many things like car shows and covered bridges that I didn't even know existed. So get out, have fun, enjoy life, and make this your year of profit. All right. And remember, please hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. And thanks for watching to the end of the video. It really means a lot to me because I'm with you. I want to have more fun. So have a great day, and I will talk to you later. Goodbye.